TheBaus' entire league career has been built on the most controversial playstyle in history of the game. People laughed at him, reported him, called him boosted, a troll, or the classic Inter. But somehow it kept working. He would go 0-10 on Sion and still win. And while most people assumed it was just a SoloQ cheese, a clown act for content, Baus took it to the pro play. When LosRatones roster was announced, everyone started saying that his strategy can't work in pro play, until they actually started winning. And through it all, TheBaus kept doing his thing, proxy farming, tower dying, perma side laning, the same strategy he was doing in low master, except now it was on stage. And suddenly everyone had the same question: how does this actually work in pro play? You have probably thought to yourself, how is this guy winning so much in pro play with his nonsense SoloQ strategy? By all logic, Baus' strategy should fall apart the moment you step into coordinated 5v5 pro play. There's vision control, wave discipline, and actual communication. On paper, this isn't supposed to work. So here is why it works, not in theory, but in actual pro level execution. Intentional chaos equals strategic value. Most players see death and think he is inting. Pro players, the good ones, see a death and ask, what did we get in return? And this is where the Baus flips the script. Every time he dies, especially early, his laner lost flash, jungler screwed his pathing, mid laner lost a wave, or forced enemy support rotation. And his team expects it. They don't try to fix it, they capitalize on it. It's not just chaos for content, it's calculated chaos. It buys space, time, and opportunities. And that's everything in pro play. He forces you to break macro rules. Everyone, even at the pro level, has internal rules. Don't over-rotate, respect tempo, punish mistakes, then reset, don't waste time chasing side laners. Baus makes you break those rules. You feel like you need to punish him. He's 0-4, he's alone, he's literally walking between your tier 2 and tier 3 towers with zero vision, but the moment you overcommit to punish him, you lose something. Or worse, you kill him and realize it didn't matter. You spent 2 minutes to get a kill on him and realize it didn't matter, because the real play was happening somewhere else. That psychological pressure is part of the strategy. It makes good teams second guess their own instinct. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, dropping a like and subscribe would mean a lot. Let's move on. He slowly turns losing into winning. This is the weirdest part of his strategy. It doesn't need to look good to be good. You can be 0-6, 2 levels down, and still ahead, as long as the enemy invested too much to get you there. Baus' early game is often sacrificed to stabilize mid and jungle and unlock the map. He's not trying to win lane in the traditional sense. He's trying to trade himself for tempo, tower damage, and macro disruption. It's almost like playing chess and sacrificing your rook just to break your opponent's structure. It looks dumb to the untrained eye, but it opens the entire board. He doesn't need help, he wants isolation. Most top laners beg for jungle help. Baus wants the opposite. He doesn't care if his jungle comes. In fact, it often ruins his plan. He creates a natural 4v5 situation on the other side of the map. They draft to win skirmishes for early tempo. They expect Baus to create pressure by being a permanent problem in the side lane. And by the time enemy team realize, they've wasted a ton of time chasing him around the map while being already 5k gold behind. For example, look at this clip where Baus played Gragas, went bot lane to push, but just so happened that 3 enemy players are on him. He kills one, goes to their base almost into their fountain, barely survives, but they are still chasing him while his team is starting Baron, and Baus gets out with empowered recall. That was almost 2 minutes straight spent on one guy alone by just mindlessly chasing him. Keep this in mind because we are gonna be using it later. The trade-off is worth it, but only with the right team. Now here's the catch. This only works because LosRatones adapted. This strategy would fail instantly if his team didn't understand how to capitalize on it. They don't panic when he dies. They don't ping question mark when he's in enemy base. They don't flame him for going 0-5. They recognize if he dies top, they get something bot. If he draws jungle, they take objective. If he proxies on wave 3, someone has to rotate on him. It's a trust-based system, not intent prey. That's the biggest misunderstanding of Baus' playstyle. So let's address the obvious question. Why does this inting style even work in SoloQ? It's not some deep galaxy brain strategy that's impossible to understand. In fact, it's pretty simple. Baus plays for himself. He doesn't care if his death looks bad or if the wave is in a terrible spot for the team. His goal is to get gold, XP and pressure for him. And as long as he gets that, the rest doesn't matter. A lot of Baus's early deaths aren't random. He dies on purpose to make sure he doesn't fall behind. He doesn't want to play under tower. He doesn't care if he gives a kill. If the wave crashes, if he gets gold, that's a trade he'll take every time. And in SoloQ, that kind of selfish, hyper-optimized farming style works. Because SoloQ teams don't coordinate. They don't punish him properly. If you overfocus top to shut him down, his team will usually do something on the other side. If you ignore him, he will slowly start destroying your base. He forces chaos, and in SoloQ, chaos wins games. It works not because it's perfectly coordinated, but because it doesn't need to be. It's a SoloQ strategy for a SoloQ environment. And another thing, TheBaus isn't actually ahead in most of his games. His stats aren't crazy. At 15 minutes, he's often down in CS, gold and XP, but his presence warps the game. People freak out trying to deal with him. They make mistakes, his teammates outplay uneven fights because the enemy team is tilted or out of position. But here's the question everyone had when Baus joined pro play. Could his strategy actually work at the highest level? And to a lot of people's surprise, the answer so far has been yes. Not because it magically stopped being risky, not because pro teams suddenly forgot how to punish grief, but because LosRatones works very well with him. This isn't some SoloQ madness thrown into a team environment, it's a 5-man machine that understands how he plays and plays with him, not around him. Nemesis, Crownie, Velja and Rekkles don't panic when he goes 0-3 in 7 minutes. They see it for what it is, intentional pressure, and the coach clearly gets to it. Their entire system is synced. If the Baus is dying for a wave top, the rest of the map is moving, grabbing objectives, matching timers. It's not chaos, it's coordinated chaos. And it works because every player is on the same page. That's the real reason his strategy translates to pro play. Not because Inting is OP, but because this specific version of it, with this team, in this environment, is working. And it's important to mention they are still playing in NRC. NRC is one of the weaker ERLs in Europe. The top teams are strong, no doubt, but the level of coordination, macro discipline and draft prep isn't the same as in LEC. LosRatones has proven doubters wrong by winning EMEA Masters twice. We still don't know how this would hold up against the best. What happens when Baus isn't getting solo kills on up-and-coming top laners, but facing someone like Broken Blade or Mirwin, who never overstep? What happens when enemy team knows exactly how to punish every single risky wave and rotate instantly? Okay, remember the Gragas example I showed you before? He tried to do it again, but this time against Gam, an MSI team. At the beginning of the play, everything started to look pretty smooth. He was just running away from 4 people, tried to buy as much time as possible for his team, but Gam realized what was happening. So even though he was legit right in their face, they completely ignored him and went straight to Nashor. Stealing the Baron, everyone called jungle diff. They left the game and flamed velja for another 2 hours in the VOD review. Now, of course, that didn't happen, but you get the point. Against weaker teams, the distraction works. Against top tier teams, not always. There's a reason so many analysts still have doubt. It's not hate, it's just a fair question. Would this still work at the top of LEC or even MSI or Worlds? Right now, his strategy is working because the whole team is perfectly synced, but at the highest level of league, the margin for errors is very thin. One mistimed proxy, one greedy death, one missed cross map, and entire game snowballs out of control. So yes, Baus' style works in pro play, but only when his entire team buys in, and only if his opponents aren't perfect. That's what makes this so interesting. It's not a troll strat anymore, it's a calculated system, and the real test is still coming. The Baus' playstyle might seem like chaos, but behind it is trust, strategy, and team that understands how to make it work.